So Pulsar decided to send me over their engineering copies of the new XLITE Wireless as well as their new XLITE SuperGlide with glass mouse feet. I said that right, glass mouse feet. They are pretty interesting, and I'll tell you what they do in just a bit here. But they also sent me over a couple other things too. They sent me over 2 of their new mouse pads, which we'll go over toward the end of the video. I don't want to make this video too long, and I've already done a full review on the XLITE, but it has gotten some updates that I definitely want to mention to you guys because I also have one of their newer retail copies as well. So timestamps will be on the screen right now so you guys can see them and skip around in the video if you're interested in a certain aspect of any of these products. But without further ado, let's hop into this early review. All 3 of these mice are extremely similar. They're all the exact same dimensions, but there are a couple of differences. So the first difference that I want to talk about real quick is just the size of the shells. On the SuperGlide version, the size of the shells are completely solid, so there's no holes or anything. On the retail copy of the XLITE and the wireless version, the sides do have the holes cut in them. So if that bothers you, I guess, you know, there's just something to be cognizant of, but personally it doesn't really bother me at all. Honestly, I didn't notice until I was recording B-roll of these mice because in gameplay, the holes on the sides, the way that they're designed, they don't bother me, not even a little bit. The shapes of the feet on the bottom are all different. On the regular XLITE, you have 4 mouse feet and 4 corners of the mouse. On the SuperGlide and the wireless, you do have a bigger mouse foot up top and bottom, but the shape of the glass and the shape of the PTFE feet are a lot different. But otherwise, it doesn't really matter that much. They all glide extremely smooth. Speaking of gliding extremely smooth, let's start off with the SuperGlide. So I believe that the SuperGlide may end up being a limited edition. I'm not entirely sure whether they plan to keep a version of this mouse in stock or if it's only going to be limited to 1,000 units. I believe I got an email or I seen somewhere on Twitter that it's supposed to be limited. I'm not sure how long that'll last, but what I will say is that the glass mouse feet on the SuperGlide basically make every aesthetic desk pad that I have and a lot of other mouse pads as well that are made for gaming. It pretty much makes them all feel like an Odin Zero Gravity, which is a good thing because the Zero Gravity is a bit of a faster cloth mouse pad. So if you have glass mouse feet that basically increase the speed of every other cloth mouse pad that you've ever used, in my opinion, that's a good thing because it feels incredibly smooth and it is a little bit faster. Now, PTFE feet have gotten really good on a ton of mice, so it's not necessarily a massive difference, but personally, I would rather use glass mouse feet than ceramic mouse feet. I did use the Glorious G Floats for a little bit on one of my Model O's, and then I also used those Lexit feet as well, and those I do think were decent, but I don't think that they were as smooth as using these. These glass mouse feet are really impressive and I do like them quite a bit. As far as my recommendation using the SuperGlide, I pretty much would only use it on cloth or hybrid mouse pads. Otherwise, I would not use it on a glass mouse pad like the SkyPad or a plastic mouse pad. I don't really think would be that much of an enjoyable experience. But if you like to use hard pads, I highly recommend just using PTFE feet, which will move us right over into the XLITE Wireless. So the XLITE Wireless is not that much heavier than the regular XLITE, and it also does feature USB Type-C as well for recharging. And yeah, I'm really glad that a lot more mice seem to be starting to move over to USB Type-C, at least for the wireless versions. Because if we're gonna have a wireless mouse, we might as well be using the latest technology because more than likely the wireless mouse or the wireless version of the mouse is probably going to be the most expensive. And I'm pretty sure the wireless version is probably going to be anywhere from 80 to 120-ish bucks if I had to guess, just based on the prices of other wireless mice. So I hope that it's in that range. Honestly speaking, since the regular XLITE is between $50 to $60, I would like if the wireless version was $90. I think that that would be a pretty fair price for what you get. Because in all honesty, with the KLGM 8.0s, with the shape I think being a little bit better than the shape of the Model D, I think that this one would be a really easy pick over the upcoming Model D wireless, because personally, I wasn't a fan of the normal Model D as soon as I touched some other ergo mice, and the Model D minus didn't really do it for me as well. The XLITE, the Origin 1X, and the Cont Pro Air all feel a lot better in my hand, at least to me. And those I would say definitely are my top 3 ergo mice, regardless if they're wireless or wired. And if you're looking for the lightest between those 3, then the XLITE would be it. And the weird thing is that the XLITE is larger than both of those, except for the Cont Pro. The Cont Pro is a bit longer, but the XLITE is a lot taller, so it fills out a little bit more of your hand. As far as the mouse clicks, the switches on both the SuperGlide and the wireless are the KLGM 8.0s, as well as the current retail XLITE that's available for around 50 to 60 bucks. That that one uses the Omron 20mm switches. So here is a quick sound test so you guys can compare the three, as well as a little bit of squeeze test and durability. I do think that pretty much all of them are very rock solid. The retail copy of the XLITE obviously is the most rock solid. The other two, again, are engineering samples, so everything here pretty much subject to change, and I'll probably do an update video later. Maybe I'll do a YouTube shorts or something. But anyways, here's a sound test. Now, as far as the performance on the wireless version of the XLITE, I've been using it for the past 3 days, more than the SuperGlide, just to really test out the battery life, because the shape of all of them is pretty much the same, but just the SuperGlide is really just testing out the Mousefeet. Either way, I digress. I've been using it for the past 3 days. I didn't plug it in when I got it, and it hasn't died since. So I assume that the battery life on it is probably going to be pretty long, but that's just after 3 days of use and probably about 20-ish hours of use in those 3 days. But I didn't bother plugging it in because I just wanted to check it out and see what it was all about and see how long it would take for the battery to die when I first got it, and then I decided to charge it. But hasn't died yet. Don't plan on charging it. I'll see if while I have it before I have to send it back, how long the battery lasts. I'll let you guys know if it dies on my Twitter if you guys want to give me a follow at TechKyle. The sensor share between the three is the 3370. Really good performance, very good in game, very good off game. It just works. All modern sensors for the most part pretty much work, and Pulsar does have software if you want to adjust like your sensitivity, lift off distance, all that good stuff. You can do that in their software that works really well, pretty lightweight, doesn't get in the way. But that's pretty much all I have for the wireless one. Again, it's just wireless, has USB Type-C, and the rest of the specs are pretty similar to the other two, other than the fact that these switches are the 8.0s on the two higher end mice. That's not the base model. I do have a small update as far as the retail version of the XLITE. They did update the cable, thankfully, like I complained about in my original XLITE review. The cable is a lot better right now. I would say that it is a very good cable with no real need to want to paracord the mouse because the cable is really good. I pretty much would give it an S tier rating as far as stock mice go, where there's no need to switch out the cable, and it probably isn't going to be much better than on the aftermarket paracord market, other than if you want to just change up the aesthetics. Reason why I say that is because they do give you those Pulsar micro bungees in the box. So if you want to use the bungee and not have it in your way while you're gaming, you can just attach it to the bottom of your monitor, and it works extremely well. And I've been a big fan of it ever since I first tried it. A couple other things that Pulsar just sent me. These actually may be live right now, so we'll have them linked in the description below. I believe they're going to be on Amazon, but we have the ParaBreak as well as the ParaControl. So the ParaBreak mouse pad from Pulsar is a cloth mouse pad. As far as the dimensions, it's a little bit smaller than the Artisan XL mouse pad size, and it is quite a bit smaller than the Odin Zero Gravity and Infinity. But this one I would say is pretty similar to the speed of an Xtrfy GP4, but as far as the feel, it is a bit smoother than a GP4. So it's pretty decent. I do still prefer the feel of the GP4 as far as control and whatnot and comfort for the mouse pad, but this one isn't really bad. If you like more of a silky feeling than more of a dry feeling like the GP4 does feel, you probably will like this mouse pad, and it's only 25 bucks. Couple cons though, I do wish that it was a bit bigger, and I also wish that it was a little bit faster. Next, this one I have liked quite a bit. I even tweeted about it before. This one is the ParaControl. So this mouse pad feels like a hybrid mouse pad, similar to probably however a Heian feels. I haven't tried a Heian myself, but I do have an Artisan Hayate Otsu, and that one is weaved in a special way that it kind of feels like a hybrid pad, and the texture is a little bit more rough than your typical cloth mouse pad. Then I also have the Odin Infinity, which is definitely a pretty rough mouse pad, and that one is quite fast as well. So the ParaControl feels a little bit slower than an Odin Infinity, but it still gives you the feel of a hybrid mouse pad. But the thing is, the weave on the ParaControl is a little bit softer. So like when you brush your hand or your arm against it while you're moving it, it doesn't really give you really any abrasion. It feels pretty much just as comfortable as a cloth mouse pad, which is really nice, but it gives you the feeling that you're using a hybrid pad. It's kind of a unique surface. Like it feels a little bit softer than an Infinity, and maybe like maybe 1.5 steps not as fast as an Infinity. So if you're looking for the fastest hybrid pad, then I would say go with like an Infinity, or if you want to overpay, go and get a Heian. But if you want something that's slightly slower than the Infinity and something that feels a little bit better on your skin than the Infinity or Hayate Otsu, then I would definitely go with the ParaControl. It's a pretty unique surface. I do like it quite a bit, and I've been enjoying my time using it, especially with the Superglide version of the XLITE. That is an amazing combination to use. My favorite two mouse pads that I tested with the Superglide are the ParaControl and the Odin Zero Gravity. Those two are definitely my favorite combinations, and that's what I would highly recommend if you are gonna get the Superglide. But that's pretty much all I have for you guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you guys are new to the channel as well. Huge shout out to Pulsar for sending out all their new stuff. I gotta send some of it back even though I really don't want to. Like, this XLITE Wireless is so good, I don't want to give it back yet, but I'll probably make one more video before I send it back. But I'll let you guys know when that drops. If you guys need anything or have any other questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next video.